Welcome to this session on shell programming. In this session, we will take examples and then review our knowledge of shell scripting. Since we are more or less coming to the end of the course, one of the problems that you might be facing is that there are some kinds of new syntaxes that appears in shell scripts, and there are certain syntaxes for which I am not able to understand what it means by reading the code, etc. So, we will try to identify if such things happen, how can we understand shell scripting just by execution. So, by execution is one of the ways by which we can understand, and if you see the use of that -x that we discussed in the initial few classes will actually help you understand how the shell script gets executed. So, in this regard we will review examples. So, we will see in 2 or 3 areas some examples of shell scripts, and this will help you to gain confidence into understanding the syntax of shell script. So, let us start with the first example. So, let us start with the first example. We will try to understand the shell script. So, my suggestion is that whenever I edit the file, please go ahead and try to understand what this file will do, and then let us execute the programs and then see what the file does. So, here is the first shell script. Now, you see that this mostly makes use of the if statement, and it has got something like IFS and something like that. So, we will try to decipher what this is all about. In order to understand such programs, the first thing that you have to do is, so you have to look at what are all the variables. So, if you look at this, there are 2 variables that this shell script is using. The first is the $path and the second is the IFS. So, let us try to understand what this $path does and then what this IFS does. So, let us go and echo these 2, echo $path, and it prints you the path where you have to search for an executable. And if you look at this, so this has something known as a colon. This colon separates 2 directories. So, for example, /user local sbin is one directory and /user local bin is another directory, and these 2 are separated by a colon. So, IFS actually means the internal field separator. So, this is actually a predefined variable. So, if you put echo IFS, it actually turns out to be null. So, what we will do is we will just edit this program, and then now we will try to understand what exactly the program will do, and then later we will go ahead and execute the program and see. So, if you look at the second line, it tells you that the internal field separator is colon, and now we know why they are using this internal field separator. So, what we are doing is that first they are, so if you put for dir in $path, what happens is that the whole string of $path gets assigned to dir, and then it is followed by an internal field separator. So, in this case, for example, so then it tries to find out whether this directory path is empty. If it is empty, then you put that, you consider the current directory path. If the directory exists, then you say that the directory exists. If the directory does not exist, it says that it is not a directory. If it is not a directory, then you clearly say it. So, if you remember the use of -d, -e and -z, and if you look at this, then it says it is not a directory. If the directory exists, then it actually lists that directory. So, that is what this program will do. So, let us run this program. So, if you look at this, we will go ahead and execute this 2 example1.sh. So, if you look at this, so it tells you that these are all the, if you remember, the path variable consisted of these files, sbin, user local bin, user local bin and user local sbin. And then if you see in my directory, for example, these files do not exist. So, even though these are path of my $path, these files do not exist. So, this example actually tries to identify those directories that exist and those directories that did not exist in the $path variable. So, this is one way of writing this program. okay, and this is a different kind of a code. So, in this code, okay, this program will go on running until you give the file to copy. Now, look at the logic. I mean, it just says that the program to do a wait copy, and then so I say until CP $1 $2 do, and then go to sleep. So, now what should I, how does this program work? So, what I do is I just run this program again. So, I will run it in the background, okay, because it is much more easier to understand. So, what I will do is I will do example 3.sh. So, essentially what this program is doing is, so it says missing file operand, okay. So, I have to give, okay, the files, okay. So, I will have to give say test and copy it to test1. So, that is what this program is expecting. Now, before that, let me just show you that there is no program called test, ls minus l test, there is no program called test. So, what I do is now I try to give this example test and test1, okay. So, I am trying to copy a file called test to test. Now, this test is still not yet generated, okay. So, I will just run it in the background for ease. So, now it says that, so there is no such file, so attempted to copy failed, and therefore, it is waiting. Okay. So, if you look at this, the program is running in the background waiting for the first file test file to get generated. Now, the test file is not getting generated. So, what I will do is now I will try to create the test file. This is one way of creating the test file. So, once I create the test file, the program sleeps, and then it finally found out that the test file was generated, therefore, it just copied the test file and then it quit. So, it is a very simple program, okay, which actually it automates the whole process. See, sometimes what happens is you want to see whether a log file was generated. So, what do? Every 2 minutes you just open the terminal and see ls minus l whether the log file was generated. Instead of that, you can write a very small shell script like this, that whenever a log file is generated, okay, send me a message or copy it somewhere, etc. And this is one small example of how this job of creating, waiting for a file can be reduced by using this kind of a technique. I mean, these are ways of solving a problem. I hope, I mean, this is the reason we just give you these examples. And finally, we have seen one pattern matching example, we had seen one example of how to manipulate the files, etc. And then finally, we will see how some of the mathematical algorithms can be implemented in a shell script. So, we will look at the final example. The final example, let us edit the file and then see what this example does. It is a very simple example of a bubble sort algorithm, okay, and you can make it efficient using the break statement, etc. So, but then, so here is the bubble sort algorithm. So, and here we see I have declared an array of numbers, okay, and this is how you declare an array of numbers. So, you can either do the initialization something like this, or you just declare an array, declare minus a, and then give the array name and then input the variables. You can follow whatever method is useful or easy for you. So, here is this way which is quite short, okay. So, I give an array of numbers and then I actually start, I mean, I just take the count of number of elements in the array. So, that can be done by this hash gives you the count of these numbers, and then I put this count, and then if you see the next few lines, if you are familiar with C programming or any other programming language, the code looks almost similar to what you write in C or other language. So, this is the place where you try to exchange if the value is greater, the first value is greater than the next value, and so on. And then finally, I print the arrays like this, okay, I print the array arrays. So, if you look at it, I mean, it's similar to C programming language, okay, and the logic is something like this. I mean, if you had understood bubble sort, and then you should know that the logic is very straightforward. Obviously, you can optimize the code if there are no exchanges and things like that, but we are not optimizing. We are just trying to show that even this kind of algorithms can be written using shell scripts. So, shell scripts are extremely powerful. So, let us try to run this program and then see how it works. So, sh, so it essentially now sorts these numbers. So, I mean, do not think that it is 2 and 8, it is actually 28. So, it just sorts the numbers. So, we had given an array in an unsorted order, and you run this program, and then you can even time how much time this program takes, okay. So, this could be of help to you to calculate, let us say, I mean, you want to see whether shell scripting is fast or slow. I mean, you can give increase the number of numbers, and then you can try to compare it. If you know C or any other programming language, you can try to compare it with shell script, and you will see that shell script is slightly slower. So that is one of the disadvantage of shell scripts. So it could run slightly slower, but it is very flexible and it can automate a lot of your effort can be reduced. Now, even though we have talked about all these things, there are certain things that you need to do as a homework or study. Okay, one of the first things that you need to do is you should be very familiar with pattern matching in shell scripts. Okay, there you can use tools like grep and other utilities that are there in shell, but finally, if in the area of network security or in the area of security, finally if you want to analyze, okay, you need to do lots of pattern matching. So pattern matching with shell script is slightly easy, and it has lot of tools. So like arc and sed and grep and all those tools. So all these tools should be used in combination with inside the shell scripting. So that will make shell scripting much more powerful. Thank you very much.